Hey there, my friend. This is Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. Today, we're speaking with one of our very own Fit Father brothers, Gordon Paquette. He lives in Ontario, Canada. He's knocking on the door of his 50th birthday this year, and he's used the Fit Father Project, starting with the free stuff and then moving into old school muscle, to drop over 50 pounds. And he did it very quickly. And even more so than that, he's now transitioned to building muscle on old school muscle and working on his strength. And Gordon is a man who's had a lot of challenges in his life. He's had several injuries from his youth, from doing all sorts of fun but irresponsible stuff, whether it's climbing ropes or doing things on dirt bikes. And he carried a lot of this pain physically with him. And that physical pain of hurt shoulders, bad knees, kind of turned into a mindset of limitation of I shouldn't do this, if I can't do this. And, when we stop moving and we become fearful, like that's kind of the downslide. But that obviously wasn't the end of Gordon's story. He's here to share a message of hope, and he's heading into his 50th year of life, just astounded with how strong and fit he is. He is running on a treadmill now. He has abs. He's pushing his strength on old school muscle. And his son Theo thinks his dad is buff, and he's so proud of him. And so this is a special conversation. And they're all special, but I truly mean that. This is a special one. Just the energy that Gordon brings to this. He also shares some wisdom from his indigenous roots. I think it's from his indigenous roots about the pace of life and the presence that we should cultivate as we move through all of our journeys, that we can't be in a rush because we're here and now. And when we walk this path, our higher path as we're called to, great things happen. Many blessings happen and stuff that we couldn't even predict was possible. So Gordon, as you're listening to this, I'm so proud of you. And congratulations on all the miles behind and the road ahead. I'm really excited. All right, Gordon, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, Dr. A. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, it is great to meet you too. I always have fun in these types of conversations, especially in conversations like this, where I'm speaking to a man that's had really remarkable results in a short period of time that I can only partially attribute to the program, but largely to your diligence and effort. And so I'm excited to hear about your journey and your story. But first off, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to all the guys that are listening to this, your name, your age, where you're from, and anything you'd like to share about your family and what you do for work.
So, my name is Gordon Paquette, French Ojibwe descent. I live in Canada, Strathroy, Ontario. 49 years of age. Until November, I'll hit 50 proudly in the
Nice.
condition that I'm in. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 6 years now, language and Indigenous language to communities and to schools in the area. And university course levels as well. So I've been really enjoying that part of my success. So this Fit Father program has been just a wonderful addition to all the other successes that I've been
That's
experiencing.
that's beautiful. I want to take a minute to just dig in a little bit more to your personal background and history. You have truly strong Native American roots. I mean, this is true. And now you also speak indigenous languages and you teach these to people. Not something I've come across. Can you speak into that a little bit more?
Yeah, I was raised in northern Canada in a very remote community where everybody spoke Ojibwe as the language. In the United States, it's referred to as Chippewa. So I absorbed that language, and really, it hasn't come into much use besides to speak to my family until recently with all the revitalization efforts in Canada, particularly. I think the US has a lot of programs going on like that too. So these languages don't die out. They're endangered languages, and fewer and fewer people speak it. So without realizing it, I was blessed with the this language to be able to share it to young people who are eager to learn it, and older people as well. So I've got a 7-year old boy. I didn't mention he is also learning it, which fills my heart with pride. Right? And everything I'm doing right now is about him. Right? This program and just staying healthy and sharing culture and language.
Absolutely beautiful, brother. That's really great to hear. And so this program has helped you profoundly transform your body in a relatively short period of time. How many months have you been on the program?
I've been on the program since December 14th, 2021, so roughly a year and a half.
Hmm. And in terms of the weight loss portion, what results did you have in what time frame?
So that is. the part that I was most impressed with, right? Because I've had so many injuries in the past. I dropped 50 pounds from December 14th, and it took me 4 months to do that. I don't remember the date, but 4 months to drop 50 pounds and get to an ideal weight following this program to a T, for fear that my injuries may prevent me from carrying on. I did it as fast as I could.
That's awesome. And now you're pursuing old school muscle and getting stronger and building muscle. Is this correct?
It's correct. Yeah, absolutely. And I can't believe it. That blows my mind. I've had a lot of injuries that we can talk about.
Yeah, well, you mentioned injuries a few times. Let's dial into that because I think a lot of guys can relate for different reasons. Like, what's been your history with your body? What's been some of the obstacles on that front?
I started off like everybody, healthy. High school, I did hit some weights for a little while, and I got really strong. I left high school in grade 10, to pursue more manual labor type jobs because that's what I enjoyed doing, was just being active physically all day long. I enjoyed 8 hours a day at work that way, right? As although I love reading, I did that in my spare time. But being that strong and young and taking it for granted that I wouldn't be young forever, I was reckless with my activities. Like I've mountain biked like crazy, and in doing that, I've injured my collarbone. Separated my shoulder. The worst of the injuries was I fractured my lower lumbar in 2004, seven, roughly.
Hmm.
So that was the injury that took me out of the being naturally active. Um,
Was that on a bike or was that work related?
that was a different story. That was related to me and my brothers used to take a rope out to this tree out in the woods to climb it to see, compete with one another to see who could do that the quickest, right? And at all. And that was when I was a teenager, up till about 19. So we could do that. And then after these injuries, I lost weight. I decided I was going to do what I was doing in high school, just kind of mind my business, start exercising. And I thought I would challenge myself with doing that, but I was 34 or 35. I wasn't 19 anymore. So I went and tried doing the exact same thing from that branch after I climbed up it manually, not on the rope.
Hmm.
But then I tried to do the jump off that branch that I normally could do when I was younger, and I mistimed the landing and I hit my tailbone hard on the ground. So it was
Dang.
dark, yeah, just after sunset. So it was kind of a young, not that young, but just a foolish thing,
Yeah.
right? Not realizing I was a little older now.
Yeah. I get that. And so those injuries provided a big amount of obstacle to you wanting to feel motivated to exercise or just having that low grade fear that starting something might hurt and aggravate you. Yet you had the courage to start this program. What prompted you to join specifically?
Um, that actually started with a woman that I was dating for a little while. For about 10 months, I went out with a woman. She's a traditional native powwow dancer, and she was very fit. And she asked me to join her. I'm going to teach her how to dance. And I tried a little bit, but my knees would get sore.
Hmm.
Um, and she kept insisting. I'd say, no, I'm just too old for that, right? Like I've been too rough on my body. I got to make sure I can walk. So I don't really want to do these extra things for no reason, right? I want to make sure I can still walk to my car and go to work. I was at that point, very basic maneuverability. I was keeping it
Hmm.
to a limit, right? So I didn't realize there were a lot of things I wasn't doing, stretching and stuff. I would get rid of that stuff. But she kept on challenging me. And then one day I gave in and said, okay, I'll do one squat, one body weight squat to show you that I'm going to end up having to sit around for a while to recover from that. So I did that. And she goes, how's your knees? And it was good. And she said, I dare you to do nine more then. So I did. I did nine more, very skeptical and thinking this was a bad idea. What ended up happening is I didn't have any immediate injuries from that, any injuries from that. Um, I was walking up the stairs the following morning and I could not believe how light I felt. Compared to how I'd been walking around for years by that point, I went up light as a feather. I was like, wow, that's only from 10 squats body weight.
Hmm.
So she got me interested in physical activity again. And
Nice.
shortly thereafter, a few weeks thereafter, I ran into the 24-minute program on YouTube for free. And I was like, if I could do those 10 squats and I'm still doing okay, I'm going to try this out. So that's how that started.
Nice.
Uh,
And as they say, the rest is history, although there's a lot of work that goes in from that point to where you are now. So you're trying out the 24-minute, you eventually join the program. Can you walk me through what the beginning, like first 30 days experience was like for you? Like what was it like in the early stage of writing a mission statement, working on the new exercises, the nutrition? Let's walk through that early phase, please.
okay, the early phase was I was moving like a sloth through all these exercises, right? Because I was so afraid, especially of this shoulder, that I was going to re-injure it. So I was
Mm-hmm.
using 10-pound weights just to make sure. I just wanted to see that my mobility, my movement would tolerate that workout.
Yeah.
Um, so it was very long workouts. Some of them were taking an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes. But as I eased into it over that 30-day period, my pace picked up and my confidence picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interval, I decided to I mean, during that time, decided to do the meal prepping. It made sense to me, right? I've never been
Mm-hmm.
a meal prepper. Prior to this program, I would buy frozen chicken burgers and French fries and throw them in the oven, come back in 20 minutes, and there's my dinner.
Yeah.
Convenient, quick, but not very healthy. So I tried the prepping on a Sunday afternoon, everything I need for the week, and I couldn't believe how convenient that was. Go to the fridge, warm it up, and you got a really healthy supper.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, so that was a game changer. And I mean, obviously, with how much weight you lose in a short amount of time, it was probably mostly the nutrition that you were dialing in. So you probably cut out a lot of garbage by doing a lot more planning off the front end. What were some of the go-to meals and stuff that you prep that worked for you?
So
What was like? What's some of your foods you love?
even to this day, not consistently, but the majority of the time, I'm sticking with chicken breasts. I'll do the frozen vegetables and I'll put them in the oven so that they caramelize. They have a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of sweetness to them. I don't know if that's right on, but it's been working for me. And then I'll on the side I'll have some of the healthy bread. We don't get
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel down here. I can't remember what it is called.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's my main go-to. I'll have hamburgers every once in a while, but morning shakes like
Mm-hmm.
clockwork. 99% of the time, that's what I go to is the morning shakes. It's simple.
Nice.
Don't have to think about it.
Love it.
Pretty good too. They're not bad. I didn't think so.
I agree with you. I'm a big fan personally. And so you gaining confidence in these first 30 days with your exercise and getting the nutrition going. How is your mindset changing during this time? What are some shifts that you're starting to notice internally?
I was um, I was starting to trust this program. I guess that trust other people, right? Like to trust a doctor because I've always been a person like I need to do this my way. I need to experiment, trial and error. I'll figure this out. But that wasn't working for me. I'll give you an example of that, right? Like a little bit off your question here, but one year, just after my son was born, I took a road trip, and I had been working out at that time, not really losing a ton of weight, but and eating like crap, but staying kind of strong. And on that road trip, I decided I'm going to need to stay in shape on this trip, right? So I stopped at a playground and I decided to do like the Rocky Balboa stuff, right? I went and did some dips without thinking about the form. I used to be great at them in high school. That's where this injury began. Um, and that injury kept me out of the game like for a long time. For 2 years, I started seeing physiotherapists, and started to acknowledge that I'm getting older and I don't know what I'm doing. My body keeps, I'll pull a muscle here, pull a muscle there, and I'm out. And so the mindset shift that happened after that 30 days was I'm going to trust this program. I'm going to try it out. The first 30 days has been awesome. Let's see where it goes from here. And
Mm-hmm.
some of this, some of the stuff that I was reading and seeing online on YouTube channels, the videos, watching your videos, it was reassuring.
Yeah, and so you're building trust in this process, trust in the program, and I guess in some sense in me, and also trust in your body that you can handle this.
Yes.
And then I imagine as you move into months 2, 3, 4 on the weight loss, you're starting to pick up some intensity a little bit. How does your fitness start to change as you go into some of the more advanced workouts?
After the 24, the 30 days,
Yeah.
that's what I was also very impressed with. Where I started off, I wouldn't even want anybody to see how much weight I was lifting. I was embarrassed, right? I was using 10-pound dumbbells and swinging with both of them, and 20. It seemed really weak, but at the same time, I was like, at least I'm doing this. By the end of that period, my weights had increased, or the speed had increased. My time had gone down from an hour, and I think 47 minutes was the longest, down to under an hour. So in that first 30 days, that's what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I got excited. I was like, if I can do that, and I was also curious, what else do you have, right? If this free 30-day program has done this, potentially I could do more. So I went for it.
Nice. I'm glad that you did. And now at this point, you've kind of transitioned into focusing more on muscle building on old school muscle once you reached your low weight. So you got down into the 160s, is that true? And then you kind of built back up to some more strength and muscle now?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So tell me about the process of like making that turn and that shift because I think a lot of guys are interested in this. A lot of guys in the brotherhood are thinking, I want to get really lean, but I also want to get more muscular. So you got to a low weight and then you decide you want to turn things around. What was it like transitioning to muscle building? What changed with your workouts and your nutrition? And also maybe just speak about how what old school muscle was like.
I actually enjoyed the shift because it wasn't as cardio intensive, right? I wasn't out of breath and sweating like crazy. Um, I was still pushing hard, but the fact that it's a little bit slower, I could slow everything down, right? I didn't need to, like I said, I started off like sloth speed, right? Even with the cardio stuff, and that was tiring anyways. And then moving into old school muscle, I could take my time on the movements, and I deliberately still do that, right? I take my time. It's given me a really strong focus on my body in general now. Like even when I'm out and about doing my job out in the community, talking to people, I'm a lot more present because of the exercising and the discipline that's gone into learning, especially old school muscle, because it can get dangerous with the heavier weights and stuff like that. So I'm definitely a lot more mind my business, right? Pay attention.
Yeah, that's awesome. Has your strength improved quite a bit using old school muscle?
It has, it has, and I'm in the final phase of old school muscle,
Mm-hmm.
and compared to day one, I'm very strong, and I expect that I'll continue. I haven't plateaued yet. I'm still increasing in increments. So I am thinking I'll eventually plateau. But even if plateaued today, I'm happy with this. If I maintain this level of strength and fitness, I'll be happy. Uh,
That's awesome. You look great. Your shoulders look broad, arms look strong. Like I can see you putting in the work. I mean, it's one of those things that you can't fake it. You're wearing it right now.
yeah,
It's really cool to see.
awesome. Yeah.
Nice. Well, what's it been like for your son Theo to watch you go through everything? You know, like has he been able to see your journey and relate to it in some way?
He's curious about it. He'll come and watch me sometimes, and on a couple occasions, he's picked up like really tiny, some of my old physiotherapy weights, like 2 pounders, and starts curling them. Super bad form. And I'm like, Theo, be careful, and I'll give him a little tip. So he's curious about it. He's so proud of me, though. He's so proud of me. He goes, Dad, you're super strong. He goes, you got a six pack, and he say stuff like, you're buff. I don't even know where he's 7 year olds. I guess they know stuff, right?
Probably on YouTube. I don't know if he's watching YouTube, but yeah,
Um,
they find stuff. Yeah.
exactly. Well, and before the program, there was one time when I was in the kitchen, he just, children, they say what they think without much thought. He says, Dad, you're fat, right? I was like, whoa, easy. And yes, yeah. So it helps, right, to hear the truth sometimes.
It does. Yeah, especially from, you know, your beautiful kid, right? I mean, That's the voice that you're going to be listening to.
Yeah,
And now he's saying something very different. That's really awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
Love it. So what's some advice that you like to live by? And this could be advice as it relates to the program or just advice that you would share either to your son or in the community, some words of wisdom that you believe guide you.
Two of my favorite quotes that come to mind almost daily for years now. One of them is never be in a rush. And you can define rush any way you like, literally speeding around or on an adrenaline rush, thinking too fast, just never be in a rush. And that has served me well for a long time. The other one that I like that's more to do with a lot of different situations as well is like there are only two kinds of business, my business and none of my business. So I try to stay focused on my business, right? When I get curious about things that don't concern me, I need to
I
focus.
love that.
I do.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think that probably leads to a more peaceful, centered, present life without all this like anxiety and busyness and meddling that defines a lot of our culture. I can speak at least in the United States. I don't know if it's similar in Canada, but like our Western culture is kind of the antithesis of many of those things you just said, and we could definitely learn to embody those values more.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
nice. All right, so last couple questions I have for you. Any what were some of the biggest aha moments that you had when you're reading through the program material? Could be through Fit Father 30X, could be through Old School Muscle, could be anything. Like, what's some of the big aha moments that you've had where you're like, whoa, this makes total sense? Meal planning was one you mentioned. That would seem pretty big for you. Was there any other ones that came to mind?
The biggest one is I used to think it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you're super active. And I used to be very active and I would eat whatever I want, McDonald's, Harvey's, any kind of fast food without thinking about it. And for years, I could get away with that, right? But I didn't realize that that stuff was actually damaging inside
Yeah.
my body, even if physically, as a younger man, it didn't appear to be. So that was a big wake up call. I was like, wow, if I keep on going in that trajectory, that leads to a lot of health issues. So that was a really good aha moment. Going, okay, I'm gonna take that part seriously.
Hmm. Nice.
I
And
got
and I want to ask you too, in this moment, how does your body feel in terms of pain, whether it's knees, shoulders? What's your pain level been like throughout this experience and right now too?
There have been periods where I've needed to see physiotherapist, and mostly around the shoulder. Um, and that's actually been other aha moments, right? Even talking with Ben Sterling
Hmm.
in email about some of these things, I didn't realize how important stretching was. That was another big aha moment. Like when I was in high school, I never had to stretch. When I was in my 20s, I didn't stretch for anything. I would just go do things, and really didn't have at that point yet have a lot of injuries. Um, but the physiotherapist has basically taught me yoga. It's a lot of it is so similar, right? I watched your yoga
Hmm.
video recently and going like, geez, I'm doing a lot of these movements already to, the back injury and everything's connected to everything. My back injury led to tight knees, and
Yeah.
so my knee pain wasn't actually knee pain. It was tight muscles down my
Yeah.
thigh, IT band.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started stretching my glutes and the other parts of the physiotherapist, I had no more knee pain. I can run on the treadmill now. I do my hit workouts on there, and I loved running as a youth, so I'm back to doing that. It's amazing.
Congratulations.
Uh,
Talk about going into 50, being able to like
yeah,
let loose and run on a treadmill
yeah.
with that kind of motion. Just thinking back to like I imagine, not to know exactly what your mind was like, but maybe 10 years prior being in pain and like being afraid of moving, like how different of a state you're in right now is pretty profound.
It is so profound. It's like 180 degrees, different person, different body, almost same person, different body, definitely, or same.
Gordon, I got to say I'm just so happy for you. Like deeply happy for you.
Thank you.
You put in the work, but like just that you get to enjoy this back part of your life. and, continue to work your body. And it's not to say that you're not going to continue to need to work around challenges and be super vigilant. That's obviously very much drilled into you. But what a platform that you've created for yourself. You impress me.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have done it without you and the Facebook group as well, right? So many mornings I'll go scrolling through my emails and then I'll check Facebook out for a minute and Fit Father will be on there. Somebody will say something that reminds me that they're doing it too, or their successes, their struggles. So that's very helpful. That's a good part of this program as well.
Nice. So I have two final questions for you. One is, what does it mean to you now to be a fit father?
It means not only like physical health, but all the benefits that have come from that for my son. I've got the energy to play with him. I've got more emotional energy to be there for him, to listen to him when he wants to talk about something or something's bothering him. So it's more than just being like he's all impressed with six pack, but there's so many other things that have come from that as far as mental health, discipline, balance, um, realizing like it's actually fun to learn new things. I used to dread doing new exercises, right? It's like I don't want to learn that move. I got to do the move. But now it's given me an appreciation for it. It's like I get to adjust a little bit and do something a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's almost like when I hear that, it's like the mindset of our youth, this growth mindset where we're open and we're excited to learn, and we can seems like many of us through life experience become hardened, closed off, and now it's like you've recalibrated your body, gotten it healthy, and now your mind is excited and more open, at least in this physical dimension of exploration, which I'm sure translates to more excitement and energy in your life, which I'm sure translates into all these other things. And like you said, the body's completely interconnected, and I think our feelings are as well in that respect. So that was beautiful.
Thank you.
And my last question is for guys who are starting out and maybe they have had some challenges like you have physically, aches and pains, you know, lifestyle stuff. What would you suggest? Any words of advice for guys who are starting this journey?
Don't give up. Don't give up. There's always a way around whatever the thing is, whatever the injury is, whatever the ache or pain is. There's always ways to move. There's always ways to stay active no matter what. And that's my advice to myself. I'll actually write that in my book at the end of every workout. Don't give up, never give up. You can do this, right? Really simple, repetitive things. Um, it works, right? So,
Gordon, this was awesome. I got to say, I appreciate sharing the time. Like, your message touched my heart today. And it's so cool for me to be able to receive inspiration from you and everything you've done with this program. I'll say I'm very proud of you. It's a pleasure to be able to know you, to have you in our brotherhood, to know that I have a brother up there in Canada slinging some weights, getting strong, being a good example for his family. Like, you're a definition of a fit father in my book, my friend. I
right,
appreciate you coming on today.
right on. And thank you very much for having a program that works and being on and sharing your story. Your story had a lot to do with it as well, like how this evolved for you. So the honesty,
Yeah.
the openness. So
Thanks, Gordon. I appreciate that.